All right. So I think we are all live. A very good evening and a warm welcome to MSc Red Devils NCR. This is your host Delvin, and as always, I have with me a few gentlemen with me. I have Abhishar Bhai with me. I have Mojo sir with me, and I have the star of last episode, Vaibhav, with me. So good evening to all. I hope you all gentlemen doing very well, doing healthy. All right.
Yeah,
So based on 2 days ago when we first convened, I think we have a much better knowledge and understanding of the explosive interview that Cristiano Ronaldo gave to Piers Morgan. And before we start with the interview, before we start in dissecting the interview in a much deeper perspective, I just want to say a few words. I'll start off with it didn't have to end this way. Uh, the first time when Ronaldo made his second coming, that epic piece of commentary which Peter Drury gave, that is in the hearts and minds of every United fan right now, from from Manchester, from Lisbon, from Madeira to Manchester to Madrid, then Turin and back to Manchester. Those lines are not lines. That is the life cycle of Cristiano Ronaldo in a nutshell, where he came as a boy, left as a man, and then became a legend that transcended the game in its reality. And he came back to the place he called home for the very first time as a gladiator that has defeated countless enemies who have been writing obituaries beforehand for his career at every single stage. The first time that he set foot on that hallowed turf of ours, we fans were given dreams of touching the stars. That Man United finally will take its place back at the top of the table after a long period out in the wilderness, after a long period where we were considered as a footnote in the established aristocracy of European football. We were on our way from also rans to the face who runs the place. That was our mindset that we thought we were getting when Ronaldo was coming. This is a man who wants to win at any cost and will single-handedly drive his team to victory when the chips are down. And the start that he had, that game against Newcastle where he scored a brace, that first sue that he did, that first game, that brace, and we thought that yes, we have liftoff and we are going to go to great heights. But for some reason or the other, it did not happen. Uh, we got into a quagmire. We got into a hole which even Cristiano Ronaldo could not get us out of. And then things just got better. What was supposed to be a marriage between two people who were perfectly meant for each other has now turned into a divorce where both sides are publicly washing their dirty laundry in front of each other, making with both sides making a joke of themselves at this point. So while the while there were great times where we enjoyed each other's company, case in point being that hat trick against Spurs, those heart-stopping game winners against Villarreal and Atalanta in the championship, uh, those first two goals back at the club, and many more such instances. We will always keep that in our heart, but deep down we all know that bridges have been burned to a point of no return. And this is what I want to say. While this could have been great, I think this is the best time where both parties bid goodbye to each other and go their own separate ways, for better or for worse, who knows. But I think at this point we know that this is the end of the road. This is where this journey ends. This is where the chapter ends and where the book is closed. So with that being said, let us get into the details of this interview. the details of the allegations, the accusations, and the statements that Cristiano Ronaldo has put forward in this interview, which has basically been the most viewed and which has been one of the most epic interviews in sports history. At this point, the greatest interview up until this one was LeBron James's The Decision, where he switched allegiances from Cleveland to Miami on live television. But this interview has just gone ahead and shattered those records with ease. I say it with ease because the second part of this interview has already generated around close to 5 million views at the time of speaking. That's the magnitude of this man we are talking about. All right. So I'll not waste any time. Let's just get into it. Weber, I'll start with you. So like Cristiano Ronaldo started off with his coming back to the club. All right. He said that when he came in the club, he was expecting a lot of change. He was expecting that the club that he left 13 years ago has evolved with time, has evolved with the requirements, has evolved with the generations gone by. But when he came back, to his surprise, and not in a good way, he says, uh, it was still the same. Be it the facilities he was talking about, be it even the people who were working in the club he was talking about. All right. Now we all know the situation around the club. We all know how great our owners are, with air quotes. All right. So my point being is, should he really have been this surprised? Because the situation of Man United under the Glazers, especially after Sir Alex departing, was not like shrouded in mystery or shrouded in any form of secrecy. So should he have been that surprised when he was entering the club? That's one part of the question. And second part of the question is, how exact, because he knew that when he was entering the club, we were still under transition. I mean, yes, we did sign the likes of Sancho, we did sign the likes of Varane. Those were statement signings in their own right. But then, should he have expected that much when he was entering in? Because certainly, this was a club in transition, and there was not a lot of things to, believe that, we would go top of the league or top of the table as and when he would enter. What are your thoughts on this statement? Because he basically said that United stopped at a clock and have never moved forward ever since. I'm trying to paraphrase here, but I think these were the words exactly somewhere down the line that he said in the interview. So what are your thoughts on this, Weber? Let's just get into it.
Well, to pick up from the last line, I think Cristiano was pretty generous saying that, United stopped at a clock. Ever since the Glazers have been in charge, in fact, we have been rewinding the clock back to the 70s and 80s, where where we were not good at all. Right. Now, when you bring in a player like Cristiano Ronaldo, who is an absolute professional, right? We've known, ever since Ronaldo has started his career, we've known that how much of a professional he is, and I'm not surprised he did not exactly know the magnitude of, what's happening in Manchester United, because you see players in today's time are very much focused on their career, on their performances, right? So Ronaldo should not be needing a reason to, as to, research about Manchester United, how they're doing or what they're doing. I'm not. I mean, he was not a United fan. We bought him young, yes, but he was not a born and bred United fan like us. He does not breathe United like us. That's a fact. In fact, not just Ronaldo, many players in the dressing room are the same, right? They do not support Manchester United, but they are playing for they're playing for Manchester United, right? And second of all, you asked me about the state of the club, and basically, should Ronaldo have anticipated it and all. See, at that time, if you remember that transfer window, especially the Ronaldo scenario, the motive was to get out of Juventus, as soon as possible, and to go to a Champions League club, right? PSG was not going to go for him. He had only United as an option, which is pretty evident. And you would be tempted, if I'm Cristiano Ronaldo.
And City as well. I'd not say that City was not the option when
Yeah,
we win
well,
when he came.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm Cristiano Ronaldo, my godfather is calling me back to my old club, a club which has just finished second, finalist in Europa League. We are signing some exciting players, Sancho, Varane. You do get that. It's like that. It's like that starters. It's like that starters, which is very good, but you do not know how horrible the main course is going to be. That's basically what has happened, right? And look, many people are questioning, what, Ronaldo shouldn't have done this. He's throwing his toys out of the pram and think this is what you get when you promote player power, right? See, Ronaldo, let's be honest, he is the biggest personality, biggest ego. He is the biggest crowd puller. He's the biggest in everything, footballing wise, in that entire dressing room. With all due respect to Ten Hag, he is starting his career, right? It's his first big job, you know. And if Ten Hag feels, he needs to, get rid of Ronaldo to build a team around, why did the board not allow Cristiano Ronaldo to leave in the summer, right? Let's not kid ourselves here, Dylan. It's not the first time the manager or the staff has been thrown under the bus. Well, not to this magnitude because it's Cristiano Ronaldo. Go back to the days of Mourinho. What has happened? The club backed players over the manager, right? What happened? Those players are gone. They have had the day in the sun. They took the paycheck. They earned millions. They didn't perform anything. We didn't win any trophies. Managers are gone, and we are nowhere, right? So we've allowed us to fall into this situation. As a club, you need to take those tough calls. You cannot listen to players all the time. You cannot be thinking about, oh my god, what would happen if I just terminate his contract, or why can I not take a hit for him, for God's sake? you know like, let's just Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, they've had flop signings. Romelu Lukaku was a flop signing, but for once, do you think their owners are like, oh my god, what would happen, if we take a hit, we spend massive money on that, you know what, let's just get over with it, let's just continue with that signing? No, that's not a mentality of an elite club, right? Cristiano Ronaldo is absolutely spot on, that about the state of the club. We know it's shambles, it's shambolic. Not just for the players, for the match going fans as well. You hear cases of, you. I mean, Sky Sports was once Sky Sports was saying they had like what, mice running in the newsroom. These cases do occur, right? So what Manchester United's state of affairs is. And in fact, in transfer market, many agents, clubs have basically branded Man United as joke. Edwin van der Sar, he gave an interview. Basically, Edwin van der Sar, literally, quite literally, he said that, what, because it was Manchester United, we, and I had that connection with them, we had, a bit of an easygoing thing, you know, because Arsenal came for Lisandro Martinez, but we did not really listen. But because it's Manchester United and the old connections, we are still living and feeding off the mates race. Oh, he's a mate, let's get him here. He's a mate, let's get him here. You know what? We're not going to improve. We're just going to have that balance sheets coming. And Moser said in the last stream as well, right? After enduring so much, after literally a player is literally shitting on your face, what do you do as a club? You do not condone that thing. You take out your NFTs or whatever that bullshit is. Right? It just shows the mentality of the club. Cristiano Ronaldo and Piers Morgan achieved what they wanted. Now, as a club, what do you want to do? Act big and do something about it, because it's a laughing stock. To be very honest with you.
Yeah, some of the points are really hard hitting here, both as well as far as the state of the club is concerned, as well as the way Cristiano Ronaldo put things forward. I mean, like Ojas Bhai says in the comments, guys, please keep your comments coming in. We love to have an interactive chat as far as our stream goes, and more comments would be appreciated at this point. So, like Ojas Bhai says, even if some of his words are right, this is in no way to present your thoughts, and he is disappointed with the way that Ronaldo has expressed some of his feelings. I mean, at a certain point, yes. Like we had a conversation, like Mudit Bhai said in the last stream, that a person of your stature and standing, there are surely better ways to put certain things forward, and the way he put these things forward was not the right way. So yeah, I think Ojas Bhai is right in his way. So we have Mudit Bhai also with us on the stream. Mudit Bhai, warm welcome to you. Hope you're doing well. Uh, Moses, I'll come to you. All right. So Ronaldo speaks about the time when he was wanting a way out of Juventus. All right, and he's gone openly on record and said that he was very close to joining Man City. He even went so far as to say that Pep Guardiola gave him assurances that this deal would happen. This deal is as good as done, and he said that it was only because Sir Alex called him that is when he changed his mind. But he also went on to say, I wouldn't be loyal if I would not say that the City deal was not close. Which means, if we take Ronaldo's words into face value, that he was very close to being a City player. And it's only because Sir Alex intervened that he decided to join United. So, what do you make about this situation based on that signing? Was Ronaldo purely a sentimental signing, or did we sign Ronaldo because we actually needed him?
Look, it's a tough one. Like, I mean, he himself said it that it was an emotional signing rather than a rational one. So, going by that logic, yeah, I mean, I totally understand the hysteria that would have happened had he signed for City. Um, People at United side would have gone totally nuts and mad about it, and all those adjectives which we threw at Di Maria would have come out: snake, this, that, and the other. Not that कि वो अभी नहीं हो रहा है, वो अब फिर शुरू हो चुका है. People are calling him stuff, but then that is a fact that yes, he was very close to signing City, and it all unraveled very quickly. I think uh, for 2 days this news was getting what hot and on fire that he's going to City and the deal is almost done, and then on the last moment United enters the race and then we officially announce him, this, that, and the other, and then he puts out a tweet, this one's for you, Sir Alex Ferguson, whatever. All that romanticism is on one place, but the reality is when Ronaldo sits with Piers Morgan and actually says it himself that it was more of a emotional decision than a rational one, well, speaks volume of the fact that his homecoming or his experience over the last 18 to 20 odd months on the footballing side, forget the personal aspects of it, on the footballing side hasn't been too great either. No one would like to be in the kind of dressing room we had last season, at any club for that matter, forget Manchester United. Nobody would have liked to be on a stature of a Cristiano Ronaldo and then not get fed for 11 to 12 straight games for any goal scoring opportunities to come forth. So it was all over the place. And like you started, Delvin, that it's a shame it had to end the way it has. And I guess in the second part, sorry to jump the gun a little, the final straw was when Ronaldo himself said it, that I think it's best in the interest of myself and Manchester United to move on from this. Clearly stating that there is no way back, and it's sad. I mean, having said that, would a completely fit Ronaldo and a emotionally stable Ronaldo with little or no, why am I saying little, but with no family tragedies to handle, would he be the same Ronaldo as last season and still be banking goals with whatever opportunity he was getting under the Ten Hag system? We would never know. We would absolutely never know anymore. But yeah, that's the end of that.
Taking that city bit into consideration, Mojo sir, I'll just continue with you. Uh, if in an hypothetical he would have joined City, would he have had a better season? And would he? Let's just keep that emotional thing. If that emotional part of the side did happen even while he was at City, do you think he would have performed the same? Would he have had a better City career than he had a United career, or would it
But it,
have been this? Would it have been in a similar vein that he had his United career, where he had that drought, and then uh, he was not the same ever since? I mean, do you think he would have kept on banging in the goals where he had a drought here in
I
United
think
colors?
I think he would have had a better season at City, 100%. One, uh, Pep Guardiola would have adjusted his playing style and his system to fit Ronaldo. Two, uh, I recall, I think it was Rooney who made that statement, or Rio Ferdinand. I don't know who made that statement. That in Sir Alex last season, the likes of Rooney, Giggs, Scholes were all told to just
That
find
was
Robin
Rio.
van Persie.
That was Rio. That was Rio.
Rio, yeah. They were told to find Robin van Persie because Sir Alex was so confident that he's just going to get the goals required. And I think the season before, City having played a false nine and without a striker, this, that, and the other, he would have definitely got the service, and Pep would have altered the system to suit Cristiano Ronaldo. Uh, that is exactly what Pep is doing right now. He has
With Haaland,
altered the
yes.
system. Yeah, exactly. He has altered the system for his players to find Haaland, and he's just pumping in goals left, right, and center. So I believe he would have had a better return of goals if he scored 24 for United. I can sit here and vouch for it. He would have scored 35 plus in City colours. 100%. Easy.
Yeah.
Because if you look at United's, I keep coming back to that. The 10 games when he did not score, I don't see a Cristiano Ronaldo not scoring for 10 games in a Manchester City shirt had he gone there. He probably would have got 35 plus goals easy. And the other reason being, um, City made it to the latter stages of the Champions League. So he would have had, far more Champions League goals. He scored 6 for us, but I presume he would have had about 10 or 11 for City by then, by the time they got to the semi-finals. So,
Even more. Who's to say?
I mean, probably,
Even
yeah.
more.
So I would say is yes, he would have had a better season at Man City. There are no second thoughts about it. And third point, why would he had a better season is because, let's be honest, City has a manager who is better than Oli, right?
Fair
City
enough.
has players who tactically are more astute than the ones we have at United. And the reason why I say that is because Ten Hag found out within his first 2 games this season that these kids or these players cannot adapt to a new system because they're used to playing a certain particular way, which is as
Correct.
per their comfort levels. So,
Correct.
100%, Ronaldo would have had a better scoring season. And lastly, with all due respect to all United fans, he would have won more trophies at Man City and probably would have been much happier there as of this point in time. हमारा क्या होता, हम थोड़ी बहुत उसको गाली देते, उसको स्नेक बुलाते, उसको अजीब और गरीब तरीके के हिंदी के वर्ड्स बुलाते, अंग्रेजी के वर्ड्स बुलाते. But what would have happened? The guy would have been enjoying his football. We would have been, on our merry-go to build another team. And in the first question that you asked me, was he required? I don't think he was required. I frankly do not think Ronaldo was required in the system. Whatever good or bad it was, what Oli was building, Ronaldo wasn't required because the moment you get a player like Ronaldo to come in, you build that fulcrum that he's a point of focus for you. And all the Rashfords and the Martials and the Greenwoods of this world have to change their game, whereas they are themselves in their own right very flamboyant. I clearly recall 5 or 6 games where Greenwood just wouldn't pass to Ronaldo, despite Ronaldo being
Exactly.
free from
Yes.
the opposition defenders.
True.
So,
True.
I mean, it just spiraled out into a very, negative, poisonous kind of a situation. But summing up what you said, Ronaldo would have had a better season, would have had a better goal return. Pep Guardiola would have adapted the City system to suit him, and he would have won more trophies, 100%.
Yeah, irrespective of two big egos that would have clashed at City, that is Pep and Ronaldo, I think that wouldn't have come much in the way of them both achieving unprecedented success. Is what I feel. So, coming to what you said about the Rashfords and the Martials and the Sanchos and the Greenwoods that we had, Mudit, my next question to you is regarding this particular situation only. Ronaldo called out the younger players in the side. He did not call them out by name, but he basically put everyone in a nutshell, saying that today's youngsters have it easy. They've not had to struggle for much. And he named certain players who he feels will have longevity in their careers. He personally name dropped Diogo Dalot, surprise, surprise. He name dropped Lisandro Martinez, who will have a long career in terms of footballing perspectives. And then he also name dropped Casemiro, who, while is 30, he believes that he has the potential to play even further more, well into his late 30s as well. That is what Ronaldo feels. So, my question to you is this a slight on the likes of the Rashfords of our side, the Anthony Martials of our side, the amount of time that Greenwood played in the side with Ronaldo, and then we have the likes of Anthony Alanga, we have the likes of Alejandro Garnacho, who, in spite of idolizing Cristiano, I use the word idolizing because we all know how much of a die-hard fan Garnacho is of Ronaldo. So, in spite of idolizing Ronaldo, there has been no mention of these guys. So, do you think that is he trying to slide these players, or is he true about the current crop of young players? And he also generalized not only United, he also generalized young players in general. Do you think he's right about criticizing the players being soft, or and what about the slight that he had for the youth, for the younger players of United as well? It's a two-part question. You can start off with whichever part you want to.
Yeah, so I'll be straightforward with the fact that this guy has been part of two modern day eras. Ronaldo has featured in two big modern day eras. One is now, one was the 2000s. So he will obviously see a difference between the youth at that time and the youth at this time. Generations change, cultures change, young players get attracted to what football brings outside of the sport, and it's not something that's abnormal now. It's something that has to be accepted. It's like an uncle saying beta hamare zamane mein, or bide bhai from Tarak Mehta saying hamare zamane mein. It's absolutely that. I don't think there's anything else apart from this. I What he says is they need to have certain disciplinary things in them to make them great. I understand his intent might be to say that if you want to reach at my level, if you want to be the one of the greatest of all times, this approach doesn't work. Well, it worked for him doesn't mean it will work for others. See, in this he's again showing that he's ambitious, and in that way he's kind of targeted youngsters who kind of idolize him, one, and two, who are living in this time period and have to live according to the traditions or to the ways of their time. They are exposed to a lot of things at a young age, and it's absolutely normal for them to do what they do. So I find a disconnect here in what he's trying to say. I get from the footballing aspect, he might want to say something different because of the way that he kind of approached the game when he was young. But there are coaches for that. There are coaches in the youth team. There are coaches that there is Eric Ten Hag here, who will coach young players also, along with who will overlook the young players who are being coached. So it's I think it's all about an alignment that the manager has to bring more than what Ronaldo thinks the youngsters are all about.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, things cannot go the way he wants to, irrespective of the fact
So
that he's.
I don't think he wanted to kind of take a dig at them, but everything he
But the
mentioned
way,
in the interview can be taken as a dig. So
yeah, because the way he spoke, yeah, the way it spoke to the layman, it will obviously sound like it's a slight on the young players.
absolutely, absolutely,
Exactly.
and I did not find much of an issue with it because I think he spoke about it universally with regards to not just our club. He spoke about youngsters in general.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
But
my
then,
Tata used to do.
yes,
So
And like Rohit Bhai says, Bide OP in the chat. I mean, interesting that he speaks about Bide, considering the fact that Ronaldo himself copied the celebration he has from Bide himself. The latest one, exactly. Yeah, that one. That one. So, I mean,
You
interesting that yeah, and
you
yeah, it's interesting that Rohit Bhai brings that up. Uh, Abhishar Bhai, my question to you is on similar parts. So, what Abhijit says: are the younger players spoiled due to lucrative offers or lack of proper coaching? What's your opinion on this? I mean,
This
I know
will,
it's a little, I know it's a
yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
out of topic compared
Yeah,
to
yeah,
what
yeah,
we're
yeah.
speaking about,
So,
but then, yeah,
this will like always be falling in that order. The younger the generation, you take a basic example. You take example of internet. Okay, that is very basic thing. You see that with the generation getting like in a next version, they'd be using internet more for fun, or that will be like they would be intoxicating into it. But for the backer generation, when you'll go, you'll see that they'll be putting more on the understanding, on exploring stuff, things like that. So that's how any basic thing, that's what evolution is about. So you'll not expect like maybe my dad is not worried about his Instagram post. Okay, I might be a little bit worried, my kids would be more worried. So it's like that. So there would be distractions that would be coming in for them. So it will always be like that. So for coming generation, you cannot say. Yeah, so thing is that it will have impact. What how it will be having impact when you put your regime, your workout, your sessions on top of everything. Okay, whatever you do, that is like, you cannot question the talent of Greenwood. Sorry to pick this example, but yeah, that has went to ashes because of him not being taking his football part seriously. So you have to when you are kid, that brings back to our whole academy, that you just cannot be taking focus only on footballing. You have to maintain that overall grooming of those youngsters as good, honest individuals, good citizen of this country and this world, and then they would be on top of it, they should be a footballing superstar. But at first they have to be good individual and good citizen. But now what is happening, the emphasis of the limelight, the money, the aura that they get, that the focus first shifts into being footballer. And they think that with being good footballer, rest all things will come, but that's not going to be the case.
yeah. I mean, you've captured the essence of this question spot on, Abhishar Bhai. It's as accurate as they get, and I think. It's fair enough. And even Rohit Bhai has said that coaching standards nowadays have raised a lot with all the analysis and with the basis of data being the cornerstone nowadays, compared to the good old fashioned eye of the scout, which used to happen in previous generations. Now, a lot of decisions currently are data driven, which also reflects in the way that the coaching drills have been also put into
So
perspective.
that's very much, that's very much has to do with what Ronaldo has become, has a lot to do with what Sir Alex Ferguson has done to him. Same would go with Messi being Pep. So that's how that you are very good talent, you are immense talent, but taking that next level, that is beyond everyone's reach, you have to have someone who is controlling all your stuff. So we knew that's why he always say that Sir Alex Ferguson is my godfather. That goes irrespective, that he's very good. The people would have identified him. He brought him into Manchester United, and then the next level that is that you need someone. You can never be a great player unless you have a great coach, a great mentor. That would always be the case.
Like anxiety bhai says, like Rohit bhai says in the comments, sanskar अच्छे देने पड़ेंगे. So I think this is what you said in a nutshell. But like Prakash said, Ronaldo was spot on about the youngsters. I mean, yes, in if you take it in one side of the story, then yes, he is right about youngsters having it easy. He's right about youngsters not having to struggle for anything. But then football right now is in such a place where not a lot of players will go on to have long careers like the footballers of yesteryear. I mean, you won't see anyone of this
Oh
generation
my God!
having. Yes,
Footballers are
exactly.
earning money as country's GDP. So if you see
Exactly.
that
So
people earning in 1 year, that will be with their transfer fee, that is like country's GDP. So this is
exactly.
going beyond.
Yes, exactly. Web of speaking. Now we like Abhishar Bhai spoke about managers. Let's come to the manager part of this interview. All right. So Ronaldo personally pinpointed two managers in the first part of the interview. We are doing the first part. We'll do the second part later. There's a lot of things to uncover. Let's talk about the first part. He name dropped two United managers personally. First of them was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and second of them was Ralph Rangnick. He had different opinions on both managers. Now, in spite of the poor results, excuse me, in spite of the poor results that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had when Ronaldo entered in, he still called Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a top manager, and he also ended up saying that Solskjaer is going to have a great coaching career whenever he picks up a coaching job next. All right. This is in stark contrast to what he says about Ralph Rangnick in the interview, where he says that he never really considered Rangnick as a boss. He only called him boss because Rangnick had the job. Now, we all speak about Ronaldo being the ultimate professional, the model professional, and he has proven it over the years. But for someone who's worked under some of the biggest names in football, be it Zidane, be it Mourinho, be it the great man Sir Alex himself, he tends to forget the fact that when Zidane started off as Real Madrid manager, Zidane also was nothing but just a player, and the only coaching experience he had was the fact that he managed the youth team of the Real Madrid side, that is the Castilla. Another example is that he played under Pirlo, who himself did not have Pirlo did not have even that much of coaching experience. He was just thrust into the job. Maurizio Sarri had never won a trophy until he won the Europa League with Chelsea, and then he went on to become Juve manager. So he has had managers who are some of the greatest names in the sport, but at the same time, he's also worked with managers who have just started off their careers at big places. Cases in point being Zidane himself, being Maurizio Sarri, or be it Andrea Pirlo in his last year at Juventus. So why the shade at Rangnick? Because let's be honest, Rangnick has Rangnick's name in the football industry is much bigger than say Andrea Pirlo as a player, because that man has single-handedly rejuvenated the entire footballing model of the Red Bull empire. And he's gone on to build a name for himself. Let's not forget, this is the same man who brought Schalke into the semi-finals of the Champions League and ended up losing to United in the 2010-11 season. This is the same man who almost managed to break that monopoly Bayern Munich had in the Champions League as manager of RB Leipzig. Why the shade on Rangnick, who arguably is a much better coach than Ole? Let's take these two managers comparison. I'm not comparing the other managers because these managers have won a lot and it speaks for themselves. Zidane in particular. Why the double standards? We talk about professionalism from Ronaldo's part. Surely the things he spoke about Rangnick was not professional. Yes, he did not have the best of seasons under us, but then I think he made all the right noises. If the end game was to expose how poorly the club is run under the current ownership, I think he was more than successful in doing that. Yes, at the end of the day, he will definitely be judged on results, which he did not provide. But then I don't think telling the world that I do not consider him as boss, I never heard of him, I think it says a lot in the part of Ronaldo as a player as well. What do you make of the comparison or the things he spoke about both the managers? You can start with whichever manager you want first. The choice is yours.
Well, let's start with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And look, if you take my opinion, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's coaching credentials or his coaching standards are as good as the sacked Sunderland manager Jack Ross. Let's be blunt. Right, he is not a good coach. See, the statement which Ronaldo has given, well, obviously it contradicts and it just smells like, backing your mate, you know, We have played together. We are in this together. You know what? You're my mate. I'm gonna back you. See, there's this unethical code, right? Not just with Ronaldo. Let's take example of Carragher with Gerrard. Had it been any other ex-United player managing Aston Villa and getting those results, I'm sure Carragher would be on fire, right? And let's. There are many more examples. In fact, Neville, defending Ollie, or Rio defending Ollie, or even Roy Keane to that extent, right? So these players who've played with their ex-players, they have got this ethical code, right? You know what, we're gonna back you. That, I mean, they're just not players and managers, right? They have more of a personal relationship, you know. So I think that biasness is there, but again, that does not give you any opportunity to sort of go in on a person like Ralph Ragnick, right? It's hard to believe that footballers live in such a dark mushroom. I understand you look after your career and all, but like, let's come on, guys. You do have Google, right? When Ralph was appointed as a manager, you could have searched about him. You could have told your team to, what, hey, get me the information of how this Ralph Ragnick is all about, what his style is. Yes, understandably, he's not been in the managing scheme of things for a long time, but that does not take away from the fact that he is a good manager. Godfather to so many German managers like Nagelsmann, Klopp, and Hasselhoff, so many of them. So again, there's a saying in football, maybe genius with the feet, but not with the brain. It goes along. And unfortunately, there are some players in the media who are neither good at both. Hashtag Jermaine Genius. Well, so yeah, I mean, I think the managers thing, both the managers, when you talk about Rannick and Eric Ten Hag, forgive me to jump ahead too far, you just cannot do that, right? With Ragnick, I just seem to get this feeling that he was everybody's punching bag, and look, people would obviously blame the players, but let's, I mean, the the board also has to take some responsibility on that, right? The players, yes, they did not take Ragnick seriously. That's a fact. But was Ragnick allowed to do the work? He couldn't bring in a player in January. He had to play those. He had to play Harry Maguire and the likes of Fred and McTominay again and again and again. How?
Added to said, like how he has mentioned that he has identified these targets. Like he has mentioned specifically that okay, these players has been identified and board were unable to get them.
Yes. I mean, how do you expect a manager, an interim manager, to do any good? There has been, I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer left us in a very, very bad position. You are not allowed to bring any reinforcements. You're not allowed to, throw some shit out of the squad, right? Your hands tied behind the back. There's player power. There's leaks left and right. The club is not supporting you. Ralph Ragnick, as a manager, as a I used to love his press conference for a start. The way he talked about the club. Like, I mean, may not be as explosive as Ronaldo, but echoes a lot to what Ronaldo said. Let's not forget, that famous press conference where he said Manchester United need an open heart surgery because we are literally in the ICU. He talked about us needing 10 players to get back. Us needing 10 players to compete. Sorry, not get back, compete. You know, so I mean,
And
well,
mentioning the part that the problem in United is beyond, people can see that is beyond everyone's. There are many involvements that requires higher up that will go till scouting, till management on the higher end. So there are many aspects for
yes, true.
covering it.
But Abhishek bhai, completely agree. So I mean, Ronaldo. I feel Ronaldo should have not. He shouldn't have said something like that for Ralph Ragnick, right? Because what Ralph said pretty much echoes with what Ronaldo said in an interview. If I was Ronaldo, I would have said the same thing. You know what? Hey, listen, Eric Ten Hag. Yes, he was not a good manager, but why? You can clearly and evidently see because the club didn't back him, which was quite clear. He, in fact, mentioned in his interviews, that we need an open heart surgery and all that. Ronaldo could have used it as his advantage. But again, like I said, this is particularly smelling like a player, sounds like a player who's kind of throwing his toys out of the pram, you know and yeah, it's completely shambolic, and it comes down to that embarrassing situation where the board has put us in, unfortunately, slagging the board off a lot. But I mean, what can we do as fans?
So my next question to you on similar lines is, Mojo sir spoke about Ronaldo having a time period where he went on a goal drought of 10 to 12 games. I don't know the exact number, so that's why I'm just putting it in a number range. Now, coincidentally, this happened to be the same time that Ranić assumed the helm of things. Now, if we take these words into face value, is this a very clear indication of Ronaldo downing tools? Because under previous managers, you've never seen Ronaldo perform this way. I mean, hell, the longest goal drought he had in his entire career up until that phase was 4 games. That was his longest period of a goal drought, if we could call it a goal drought then. But then he has a period where he barely could score. Like even for love of money, he could not find the back of the net. So, do you think that this line, that the fact that he never really considered him as a manager, he always thought of him as a sporting director, the way he spoke about Ranić in that interview, does it give you an impression that did he down tools the moment Ranić assumed the position of interim manager? Or
Never.
is it just because, is it that he genuinely was in a rut at that point in time?
Never. Not even once did I feel Ronaldo down tool. I'm categorically saying, see, we may have different emotions after this interview, but one thing we cannot take away from Ronaldo is, how much of a professional he's been on the football pitch, right? Maybe for his own goals, maybe for the team's glory, maybe for his overall glory. I can categorically say Ronaldo, CR7 would never ever down tool on a football pitch. That's what he's all about. He would be behind for till the 89th minute, but he would come back to you and win you the games. See, about the goal scoring drought, it's not just in the case with Ronaldo. You know, Post Van Persie, post that 13-14 season, we've had strikers, we've had the teams. How many of us have legitimately, I mean, how many players have legitimately, competed for the Golden Boot award? How many strikers have, been successful, barring the Ibra season, barring Ibrahimovic season. If that also you want to take into consideration, majority of his goals came in Europa League. So it's been a running problem. It's just not Ronaldo. Anthony Martial, Rashford when he used to play as a striker, and whatnot. We've just not got the team.
Yeah, I still believe that we could not win anything has more to do with we not converting goals. Like when many chances, like we for recent drought of our silverware has to do with we are not being handy or been very good with our strikers, or else I like take an example of Europa League final. We've been there; it was
Exactly.
there for taking, and we could not. That's
Exactly.
because of it.
See, Dylan, our strikers have been living out on scraps, right? We've had Mauron Fellaini, Schneiderlin, and God knows what not lunatics running our midfield, right? How are we supposed to create chances for our strikers? Ronaldo, the reason I say it's one of his greatest seasons is because, I mean, some goals which he scored last year was out of nothing. It was out of a magic moment. Let's not kid ourselves. Oh my God, Ronaldo scored 24 goals in a shit United side. Most of those goals came in from an individual moment of brilliance. He did not have any contribution whatsoever from his teammates. You talk about downing tools. You know, Downing tools is what Rashford and Lingard did at Etihad, right? During the derby, if you remember. When you're walking around, not showing any passion, when you're 4-0 down against Liverpool, when you're getting leaks that, oh my God, the squad is not happy that Ronaldo has taken a break and he's gone to Portugal, when he couldn't have done anything because you lads were on the pitch. That's what downing tool is, right? You're leaking stuff about players, you're leaking stuff about your teammates. You're not putting in the hard effort, you're not putting in the hard work. You probably do not care, you probably don't understand what it means to us losing to Liverpool 5-0 and getting banded all along. That's what downing tool is. And I think Ronaldo had seen it clearly. I think he was frustrated. Simple as that. He saw it with this squad that, this squad does not have what it takes to go to the next level. Some players, It may be harsh. You mentioned about the three players he mentioned. Bruno Fernandes is his teammate. Very, very good teammate, very, very good friend. He did not mention Bruno Fernandes. He does not mention Garnacho. Forget about the British clique. So I can never imagine Ronaldo downing too. As much of an egotistical player he is, with all the ego he carries, I think for his own ego's sake, he would never ever down tool on a football pitch.
No, but the
That's
question, no, the reason I asked the question is because a lot of fans would have that thinking. And I'm not exactly going on record and accusing him of downing tools. That was never my intention while I was asking you this question. The question is because of the way he spoke about Ranić, and that because that goal drought coincided with the time that Ranić was at the helm. That was my sole purpose of asking the question, because to a vast section of the fan, it could look like he down tools. That is the reason why I asked you to get your perspective on the matter. It is not.
Delvin,
Yeah.
Delvin, sorry to interrupt in between,
more something.
but am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. But somehow, I could be completely wrong. But yesterday, I was sitting with Anxiety Bhai, I was sitting with Kushagra, and we were talking about some social media stuff. And half of the things they said went complete bonkers to me. I just couldn't make head and tails of it. Right? And that is what I'm trying to come to. That if you have lived a life in a particular way, does the challenges of the new world or the new way provide that obstruction for you to actually move forward? And the reason why I say this is Ranić gameplay about constant pressing and winning the ball up front is not Ronaldo's game, right? Similarly, Ten Hag's game of when he gets his players and gets his philosophy ingrained is again not Ronaldo's game.
Correct.
So is it the point that he was all of a sudden at the age of 37, when he's been engraved in playing football a particular way for the last 12 or 13 years of his life, was told to do the running around which his body or his willingness or his ability of his entire game could not support? Did he actually then turn on the manager saying that, yeah, मैं तो इनके साथ खेल ही नहीं सकता, may as well find something else to talk about it? I don't know. I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it. Because if you couldn't, and why could he do it at Ollie's thing while Ollie was a manager? Because they were playing on counter-attack. Counter-attack, he's a focal point up front. They make 2 or 3 passes, they score the goal, and in the first half of the season when Ollie was still there, he was banging in goals. I mean, not banging in, but then, he was scoring goals because the system suited him. Because he was a focal point. Walk in Ranić, come in Erik Ten Hag, wherein the entire team has to play as a team for the pressing to be effective, and Ronaldo doesn't have that game. So when you're all of a sudden being found out by the team, and let's be honest, the Spurs game, when he walked out, was the best team performance, and Ronaldo wasn't even a part of it. Right?
We will get back. We will get to that in detail later on.
Right. My gut feeling is that he probably saw it coming. कि भाई मेरा तो यहाँ पे कुछ होना नहीं है. For the way I have played football for 14, 15 years, I don't think this pressing game is going to suit me. And that is a statement which he made as well, that managers today try and look for Coca-Cola in the middle of the desert. As if they know the pressing game and they know that's a solution to football. So I am beginning to think that his outburst upon Erik Ten Hag or on Ranić was more to do with the fact that he realized that he is not going to suit this system, and that's when he decided कि भाई ठीक है, नहीं खेल पा रहा तो निकलो यहाँ से.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, speaking about that Coca-Cola line, and like you said, in counter-attacks, he is the focal point. Another case in point being that he did spend 3 years in a Real Madrid side under Jose Mourinho, who were at that point the best in the world at counter-attacks. So which means at a certain point, I think for him that counter-attack play becomes second nature. Because you're ingrained with it with so much of depth. At a certain point, when nothing is working in your favor, that becomes your second instinct. That becomes your coping mechanism in a way. So I think that was visible in most of the games where United were clearly the second best team. You could always see Ronaldo coming in much more deeper to influence the play, and then he would play those one twos, which in an idealistic world where the counter attack was the primary mode of play in the football world, he would be able to get on the end of those one twos. But now that the game has become so advanced, the game has evolved so much ever since, he wasn't able to. So I feel that could be one of the reasons why he made that Coca-Cola in the desert claim as well. So now speaking about critics, Murid bhai, I'll come to you. He spoke about a lot of people criticizing him in this past 18 months. Uh, Personal targets were the likes of Rooney, the likes of Gary Neville, and we've already seen what he has done to people who have gone on to criticizing him on television. I mean, the things that he have done, you could call it as rather juvenile, or in Mumbai terms, we call it something that Nibba Nibbies do. Which it basically, I can see that smile on your face, and I think you know what I'm talking about, Mudit. Yes, exactly. So leaving them hanging for handshakes and then calling people rats on national television. I mean, the first time when we spoke about it, I asked this question to Weber. On face value of it, it did look like banter, but now when we have the entire spill of the interview, I think it's much more than just banter. He also spoke about the fact that Rooney, the likes of Rooney and Neville have been doing this for headlines. And he also gave an example of Rooney coming to his house and picking up his kids to play football. So, I mean, is he really salty? I mean, this clearly comes out of a fact that this man cannot take criticism well, in spite of him talking about the fact that he's ready to take constructive feedback as and when he wants to evolve his game over the years. So my question remains is this man so salty that he cannot take a couple of comments with players who he has won things with players who have basically sacrificed their games just for him to be the alpha of that side? Mudit bhai, your thoughts?
So, why this is funny to me is because, look, he's taken criticism all his life, and he's always replied with his goals, with the way he played the game, and what he achieved. I don't think he can bang in the goals in that way again. I don't think he can reply to them in that way again. So he's taking this route. I think with what he said about Rooney, um, it's a it's I agree with Weber. They have always been bantering each other throughout their career, ever since they were at United, ever since he moved to Real Madrid, and so with Rooney, I love him. I got emotional at that moment because I love Rooney more than anyone. So it's it's something that affected me for a time. But on your WhatsApp chats on the group, I guess someone mentioned that it could just be that, and I went with it. So on him mentioning Rooney, I think it's between him and Rooney. And then when Rooney was asked about Ronaldo's comments, he also kind of moved away from it, which kind of shows that he wasn't ready to get into it. Meaning they both know how they banter each other. What was the second part?
About the likes of people criticizing him like Gary Neville and
Oh,
certain people. I mean, calling them
all
rats on
his
national
yeah,
television.
yeah, yeah. All his career, throughout his career, he's been criticized by a lot of people. And to be honest, he's given zero damns about it, right? Because he was at the peak of his powers. Because he knows that with his talent, with his goal scoring, with the way he plays, he can shut them up, right? But the one thing he does not realize is that people don't stop talking at all, no matter at what age you are. People point out that the longevity he's had in his career and he's playing for such a long time, whereas these guys aren't. These guys had short careers. It's something that will always come up to him because those guys will speak about it. Eventually, it can only look in a way that okay, we stopped playing at 33, but you are playing till 38, but you're still not doing, you're not being that effective anymore. It's just that difference to me.
Yeah,
He has
but
a few.
Mudit, I just wanted to add on to the point that when Rooney has peaked, by 16, 17, we started to see, okay, that there is something big is coming. Okay, he has hit the dip like early, but he has started, getting to the next level early as well. Like it has taken some time for Ronaldo, but Rooney by 16, 17, he was talk of the town, talk of the city. Like everyone was knowing, okay, that Wayne Rooney, there is something big is next. So that should also be onto consideration. I don't know why people do not consider this when you're talking. Okay, Rooney has hit the dip, hit the low pretty
No,
fast,
he
but he
did
has
have
also
that
peaked.
wonderful season, no
Yeah.
doubt, no doubt.
Yes.
But the way it is being portrayed now, I will speak only based on what I'm seeing as of now, what fan behavior is as of now. They don't remember what Rooney was or how fit he was till the later stages of his career, and how he sacrificed his roles in the team to multiple positions, not just
Yeah,
one
and
deep lying position.
yes, and there is
Because
nothing you can see that he leaves everything on the pitch. You need
yeah,
to.
I get that, but it did not work much in his favor in terms of longevity, right? And I'm sure he'll be pretty happy with what he's done. There's no doubt about it. But digging him on that aspect is something which affected me because I love Rooney, I love Ronaldo too, but I love Rooney more. Why this affected me is because he was your teammate, man. And I get that you had banters across your career. You shared banters when you were with the national team and you all had that moment at the Euros or something. But this is to Piers Morgan. This is a global interview. This is at a time when you're almost out of the team, in your second home coming to Manchester United, at a time when you're putting up serious allegations on the club. And that is something that didn't fit well with me because ठीक है, Rooney passed a comment on you, you passed a comment on Rooney, fair enough, it might just be that, as Mojo sir always says, it is just banter. He doesn't like to get into it because it is just banter. But again, it kind of also speaks about Ronaldo as a person. If you cannot take criticism at a level which you have already have throughout your career. Messi fans have only criticized Ronaldo half of their life. So you've taken it well. It doesn't make sense to me that you can't take now, because from now it will rise to another level when it comes to
Exactly.
criticism.
Exactly. And and like Vishal says on the chat, many people have not seen Rooney play, and they've mostly seen the version of Rooney who played from midfield, and not the one who played as a striker
And
and
this
used to
is a
score.
guy, we are talking
Yes,
about a guy who gets a yellow card against Newcastle, turns around and bangs in a volley.
this
This
is
is
like I said that first 3-4 years of Rooney, he literally was the living embodiment of Jesus for England. Like those first
And
4 years.
and if I might add, Mudit bhai, he was also suffering from fever in that game. He wasn't well.
Yes, he wasn't well. He wasn't well as well. Correct. This is the same Rooney who we are talking about, who who used to run through players like they were training cones before it was cool. Before it was cool. I
no,
mean,
and
this
that
is
too
this
not with step overs or funky stuff.
just
Pure pace
brute
and power.
physicality. Just brute physicality. Exactly. This is, imagine this Rooney sacrificing what he is known for just to make you the alpha of that side. And then you go ahead and throw shade on him 16 years later, when he was the one who sacrificed himself to make sure that you are the top dog.
You know, there
Just
will be
doesn't
And
sit
people.
right.
Another thing I don't kind of come to terms with is, yes, Rooney did sacrifice or modify his role in the team, but I also think, from, if I am Rooney, I'd do that too, not because Ronaldo is a future goat or he's going to be a goat. So, but I would do it to kind of extend my career as a player. You know, go deep, don't run too much, make your passing better, supply, so that you have a like a spot. Even Paul Scholes was a striker when he started.
Yeah.
It's it's something that he knew that his shelf life as a striker won't be much, so he adjusted to that role, not only just for Ronaldo but for his own career too. So it's kind of
Fair
fairly
enough. But
productive.
then Yeah, but then at the end of the day, it always comes about dropping shade. Abhishar bhai, my next point to you is now we'll talk about arguably the most emotional segment in that first part of the interview. Now, while everyone knows that this interview for Ronaldo was an opportunity to settle scores, I mean, let's be honest, we all know that the sole purpose of this interview was for him to have a go on the people who thinks have done him wrong. All right. But still, in all the midst of this, he finds time to talk about arguably the most painful tragedy that will occur in any person's life. That is the sad demise and the tragic passing away of his newborn son. All right. Now, this question is two-part. All right. First, we talk about Ronaldo as a person, that how it must have impacted him, and second, we talk about the person who has held this interview. I mean, if we notice when it comes to the part of Ronaldo speaking about his child, all right, I think Piers Morgan makes a mention of his son almost every single time. I mean, there is not a single minute during that part where he has not forgotten to mention the part of the son's demise. So, what do you make of that part, and then what do you think about the spiritual aspect about this? That where Ronaldo talks about having the ashes of his son kept next to his father, and the fact that he speaks to them and that he believes that they are with him every single step of his life. I mean, deep down, it does show that just like every other human being, even he is vulnerable. He is even he is capable, and he is deserving of having those emotional moments in a personal space of his own.
So coming on to that, like I'm very emotional person. I always believe, the lightest body are heaviest on soul. So if that no one should suffer this whatever Ronaldo has suffered. And for the Morgan's interview, I think that for the whole part he wanted to, we say that that is TRP thing. They know that, okay, if I'll keep hitting this, I'll be having those parts, I'll be getting, something which, when a person is emotionally broke, he does not keep control onto stuff that he's saying. Most of the thing, when people are angry, people are drunk, people are very much emotional, they'll very much put their heart out. So it was effort from the Morgan side, so that he was hitting it Ronaldo to the point where he would say something which will be bigger for him for his interview, making, views and all those stuff. So which I think that it was below the belt, that should not have gone in the way which it would have. I'm not saying that that should not have been part of interview, that should not have been that much to the, that much length being part of the interview. That is okay, that is fine. That need not to be pushed to the part where, Ronaldo will say something which will give him the views and all. And that has changed him person, as Mojo sir has already said that no one should go through with that. But yes, that would have impacted him on his performance, because that is for sure. And blaming that people are not understanding it, that is also, I believe, to the some extent would be true. Because if that has not happened to with you, you cannot connect with it. People will say, okay, one match you will not do good, maybe two match, but from third match they will forget that, okay, there is a background, and people would be demanding stuff from you. So that's how it would be. To the point what Morgan has done, it was not needed. And that's what I believe.
Yeah, I mean, spot on, Abhishar bhai. Certain, like you said, like emotions, everything comes into play when it is. I mean, yeah, I totally get with what you're saying. So we've spoken about the entire first part of the interview, and now we come to the spicy part. We come to the explosive part. That is the second part of this interview. Now, if the first part of the interview was where Ronaldo was, putting forward his emotions, being candid about the trauma that he felt, and whatever else he was going through. The second part is a cold, calculated arson job. You know, If you listen closely to that interview, you can literally hear the sound of bridges burning. That is what the second part of this interview is. I mean,
Delvin Drury. Damn.
I mean, because the
That
second
was
no,
nice.
because the second part of this interview literally gives you the impression of a man who just does not want to be here, who at this point knows that he has nothing left to lose, and he's just come out all guns blazing and has left no punches. You call low blows, you call your rabbit punches, you call your kidney punches, all those boxing analogies. He's just gone and he's just given them one after the other, after the other, after the other. That is the second part of this interview in a nutshell. All right. We'll talk about this in much more depth. First of all, let's talk about the offers. The fact that he did not have the fact about the amount of offers he had or the amount of offers he did not have. Weber, I'll start with you. Now we all know that Cristiano Ronaldo and his agent Jorge Mendes were basically like a salesman going door to door trying to sell his product. Like, for example, let's take an analogy and let's take, like, this is a guy who's trying to sell Pureit filters door after door. Like, it has this feature, it has that feature, it'll give you pure water within minutes, this, that, only to get the door shut on his face in the heat of the afternoon sun. This is exactly what Jorge Mendes has done in case of Cristiano Ronaldo. He's basically gone across every single club in Europe who had Champions League on offer. He's gone ahead and showcased Ronaldo to them, but the answer is thank you next. No, that no can do. Sorry, this, that, whatever it is. Ronaldo has gone on to say he has admitted partly that there weren't many offers on the table, but there were certain offers in which there was the Saudi offer, and the offer was a rather handsome one. We are talking about 304 million here. That was the magnitude of the offer that the Saudi club had given him. So we speak about him. So I mean, our suspicions came true. I mean, the only reason that he did not go was because not because the club did not want to let him go, but because he did not have offers. I mean, at that point, it was fairly certain that the club would not stand in his way when a suitable offer came in. I think United held that stance throughout the transfer window. They were happy to let. I mean, we know, Weber, that you would. I think you would still not be able to, agree to the fact that we did not let him go because there was no suitable offer. But I think the consensus was that there were no suitable offers. So what do you make of these allegations of Cristiano saying that he did not have offers but he had offers?
Look, it's pretty obvious, he basically he basically wanted to go. He did not really have the offers. I think it sounds very much like, he had the offers if, there was no transfer fee involved, right? That basically sounds like that. But again, look, we shouldn't have. I mean, let's be blunt, right? Mo sir said it. I mean, with the kind of style Eric Ten Hag plays, I don't think he needed Ronaldo, right? So irrespective of there is an offer or there is no offer, we should have just let him go. You know why? Why is it always us that, we? Why is it us always worrying about, what, 5-10 million? Saving those 5-10 million. I mean, it's just not with Ronaldo. You look at Phil Jones. I'm sure in 2018 when he gave him a new contract, I'm sure people were not queuing up to buy him, right? But we still bloody gave him a new contract, because we do not want to take a hit. As a club, we need to we need to take those tough calls. We need to back our manager. You know, um, let's be very honest again, Dylan. People, Manchester United thought that, what we could get. We Manchester United thought that, taking a hit on Aaron Wan-Bissaka is of no good, so we need to, make do with him, right? And we see, and I'm clearly seeing it. How badly it has backfired. Dallo has been playing in week out. Von Bissaka, 15 million was the asking price set for him. Now he's injured all the time. I don't think he's in the Eric Ten Hag scheme of things. He's not going to play. I think you're not even going to get those 15 millions, right? So we need to take those harsh calls. You know, as a club, as a manager, I know Ronaldo is a very big egotistical personality, right? Why, you know, what should I do? I should just let him go. You know, irrespective of wherever he goes, that's his problem. You know, that's not my issue. As a United fan, that's not my issue. You know, yes, I would be gutted, I would be sad. But then again, he's left us before, but we still moved on, right? So here's the thing: we need to take those tough calls, and like let's not kid ourselves again. The sole reason United didn't want to sell Ronaldo was not because Eric Ten Hag backed him, or not because United thought he had one more year to give. It was nothing of that sort. We did not want to get in a striker in. We did not want to spend more money. That's the bloody reason. That's why we've been renewing contracts of Phil Jones, Eric Bay, Juan Mata. So look, we need to take tough calls. I think this Ronaldo situation is an eye opener, for the club. I mean, Eric Ten Hag needs to take a good look at it. Next year, many players are out of contract. What do? You take a financial hit on them and you let them go and you build your team around, or you know what? You do your Glazeronomics, as I call it, and many of the people call it. You do your Glazeronomics, and you try to save some money here and there. You try to tie them to new contracts so that you can get some money, right? So, I mean, it's an eye opener for Manchester United. You know, I mean, Ronaldo, after that interview, especially the second part, wherever you go, mate, whether you go to Dubai, whether you go to China, whether you go to Saudi, that's not our problem. I couldn't give two shits about where you go. I would follow your career, I would support you. But why would, as, as a United fan, I do not want this circus around my club. I just want to, watch my team improve, play good football, and build on to this great momentum which Eric Ten Hag is building. And these kind of things is very disruptive. I'll be very, very honest with you. Here, I do not have any sympathy with Ronaldo. You wanted to go, fine, you couldn't go. So you should have acted like a professional, right? I mean, but then again, how does a manager like Eric Ten Hag, a new manager who's not managed at a big club before, his first big job, we need to be easy with him, right? We need to show him that support. The club needs to show him that support. The club needs to put an arm around his shoulder and tell him, you know what, Eric, we give you the full backing. Whom do you want to show the exit door? Whom do you want to get in? Who are your players with whom you want to build a team around? We need to do that, right? Seasoned managers like Van Gaal and Mourinho have failed at this club for a reason. And well, the each and every direction points out that Eric Ten Hag may not have a good tenure with this board around, but he's still trying. But again, if you're going to put these loopholes in his way, I would call them loopholes. If you're going to put these loopholes wherein he has to deal with a Ronaldo issue, or where he has to deal with Harry Maguire issue when he's on international break, where he has to deal with the issues of injury crisis and all that, you're just not doing the team any favors. Ronaldo can go wherever he wants. As a club, I'm Manchester United. We are the biggest club in the world. We take the tough calls. We're not being ridden by, we are not going to go for a ride by your agent or your manager, right? I'm not waiting for you to find a club till like late transfer window. You just pack your bags and go. I couldn't care less. 10 million, let it go. Simple as that.
I mean, at the end of the day, what you are saying is correct. I mean, speaking about not able to move players on, in Ronaldo's case, for example, but there have been certain situations. Let's take Van Bissaka's parallel, for example. I mean, yes, at this point in time, we surely see that he does not have any future with the club. But then, at the start of things, like we believe when it's a new manager, every player deserves a clean slate. I mean, we all believe the same thing. I mean, let the manager first, take a look at the existing crop of players, and if they are no good, then yes, we can go ahead and recoup our losses, or we can sell them at a lower price as and when required. So I think as far as the Van Bissaka situation is concerned, I think I could understand the logic behind why he was kept, until even Ten Hag realized that, yeah, he's not that good enough. Yes, Dallo playing day in and day out is a hindrance. We all agree to it. We definitely agree to it. But then deep down, I think Ten Hag and the coaching staff did believe that something could have been done with Wan-Bissaka, but then I think they've seen enough, and that is the reason why he's not being anywhere close to the starting 11, let alone the starting 18 as well, or the starting 20. So I think at this point, we all know that Wan-Bissaka will be shown the door sooner rather than later. But yeah, Ronaldo's case is a rather curious parallel, because there have been conflicting reports saying that, where there have been certain reports saying that the club didn't want him to be sold. Then there are other reports saying that the club was not standing in his way. So on and so forth. And then that becomes a very muddied proposition when you take things into perspective and the grander picture as well. So yeah, totally relatable to what you say, totally relatable in whatever you say. So like Vishal, to put your point very beautifully as well, Weber, Vishal says in the chat that maybe Ten Hag did not read Ronaldo, but Glazers didn't want him to sell the shirts, which was the old-fashioned collared shirt. So yeah, like you said, Glazeronomics, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, sure. So you can carry on. Yeah.
You can carry on.
No, Weber was saying something.
No, I was just saying exactly to Dylan's point.
So look, I find a very funny situation here. Again, what Weber said in terms of Glazeronomics. Here we are not wanting to sell a player who definitely, very evidently didn't want to be here for what, 15, 20, 10, 12, whatever million pounds that United had put a value onto his transfer fees, despite knowing very well that the guy has sold enough shirts for you to have recovered that sort of money. I mean, he broke the world record within 24 hours of moving to United in terms of shirt sales. So you had made that money. So why would you? And that is just 24 hours. What he kept selling for the last good part of the last season and the early part of this season, that's all different. And plus all the marketing events and etc. that you keep making money of him. If you signed Ronaldo for what? How much did we pay to sign him? 12 million?
13
million. I'm 100% sure Ronaldo has given you 3 times that money already. Easy.
Yeah, jersey sales. I mean, clubs get 10 to 15% of jersey sales money.
Yeah, but Mudit bhai, what I'm trying to also get to is that other merchandise that United make, which they sell through their online or to their mega store, Ronaldo chapa hua hai, and they're making their own T-shirts onto it, or some of the other memorabilia, CR7 stuff, whatever. So he's already given you 3 times the earning. Let the guy go.
Yeah, fair enough. Like these are all valid propositions and valid points which we've been speaking for years. It's not something that we've been speaking since yesterday or ever since the Ronaldo interview came out. I mean, this has been the case for a lot of players who have gone in the past as well, who have always been viewed as a shirt selling machine rather than players in the first place. So speaking about that, let's come to our biggest bone of contention in this interview. That is Cristiano Ronaldo versus Eric Ten Hag. And Mojo sir, who better to come than you? You've clearly made your line in the. You've clearly drawn your line in the sand. Whoever the player be, however big the player be, you speak against the manager, you automatically are wrong in the books. And here, Cristiano Ronaldo has not just spoken bad about him. He's literally gone on record, and this is as close to a diss track as it can come in hip-hop analogy. This is as close to a diss track that Cristiano Ronaldo has come out in as far as Eric Ten Hag is concerned. He speaks about whatever Eric Ten Hag has done for him so far in the press conferences, which to any human being who has zero knowledge of football will obviously believe that Eric Ten Hag is defending Cristiano Ronaldo here. Let's take it from the fact that when Cristiano Ronaldo skipped the preseason, Eric Ten Hag openly went on record and said that he was attending a family emergency, and it was not that he wanted to leave. Even though everyone knew what was the reason, Eric Ten Hag tried his best to diffuse that situation out. Then we come to the fact that he's spoken about how important Cristiano Ronaldo is to the side. With his that one word, I still remember that introductory press conference where the journalist asked him, "What are your expectations with Cristiano?" And the only one word answer that he gave, he just said, was goals, lots of them. That was his only expectation with Cristiano Ronaldo, which, let's be honest, he hasn't. The man has scored 3 goals this season, and 2 of them are against Sheriff Tiraspol. Goes a lot to say that goals aren't coming. Then he goes on record defend him the first time he walked out of the stadium against Rayo Vallecano, where he openly said that Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't the only one to go earlier. There were many players who did that, and all those players were rightly reprimanded. I think a lot of people tend to miss the fact that Eric Ten Hag did point out that Cristiano wasn't the only one. I think that iconic statement, "Do your research," that is when Eric Ten Hag used the word.
It doesn't suit the media's agenda.
Exactly. So no one, it doesn't see the light of day. And then when he was suspended for the same offense the second time, the moment he comes back into the reckoning, he was given the captain's armband. So here, not to forget the fact that he did not call on Cristiano Ronaldo when the team was losing 6-1, because I think that would have been the biggest loss in his entire footballing career. He's never been part of a side that has conceded 6 goals in his entire football career. And it is still that way because Ten Hag decided him to not go out or not give him a run in that game. So what Cristiano Ronaldo does is calls everything of this excuses. He goes on to say that the suspension for him was too much, in spite of him saying sorry. He says that I will not play 3 minutes because I do not deserve this treatment. And then he even says, in the interview, he says why he regrets it, and then he adds, I don't know, I regret it. So the man is still not certain whether he regrets the thing that he did during the Spurs game or no. So basically, he's done everything he has to destabilize what Ten Hag has been doing with the club so far. He has single-handedly gone on and debunked everything that Ten Hag has been doing so far. He's invalidated all the good things that Ten Hag has done so far only because this man does not get game time. What are your thoughts on this, Mojo sir? I mean, because this is a much more detailed, in-depth, a systematic assault on Ten Hag. Like, he has calculated his usage of words, he's calculated whatever he has to say, and let's just say this has been premeditated because he knows what he's speaking. Every word, every phrase, every sentence at the correct time. So, what are your thoughts on this systematic assault on the manager and whatever he's done so far?
See, look, it's been said by everybody now that when he sat down to do the interview, he pretty much knew there's no coming back.
Correct.
And by just saying that, or by just going through things like, the club is static and the Glazers are not interested and it's just a marketing club, there's nothing much that could have come out of it. What he had to do was ruffle the feathers to the extent that a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, turn against him. And that could only happen once you were going to talk about the current manager. Now, for all the things that you point out, Delvin, in terms of supporting Ronaldo when he was not able to join the preseason, then suggesting that Ronaldo was not the only one who left against
Rayo
Rayo
Vallecano. Yes.
Rayo Vallecano in the friendly. I mean, there have been numerous instances where Eric Ten Hag has actually gone out and tried to support to the best that he could. But then at the end of the day, you got to understand Cristiano Ronaldo, that Eric Ten Hag is running a football club, as in a football team. He has to get results. He cannot sit there and, like it was said, I think Mark Woolbridge said it or whosoever said it, he cannot sit there and babysit Cristiano Ronaldo because he's got a big ego. Sorry. He's there to get results. And if that means that his game plan or his vision or his strategy means that you cannot hack it for 70 minutes, then you sit on the bench. It is as simple as that. And when you talk about the kind of stuff he said for Eric Ten Hag, I mean, well, once those small snippets started coming out about 3 or 4 days ago, it was just that, I don't respect him because he doesn't respect me. I mean, TK, we were expecting this. And somehow, I was thinking yesterday that maybe this guy, Piers Morgan, has been, smart enough and in editing the clips that he wanted to put out, maybe mix the two so that it looks sensational. But then, I mean, I was wrong. It wasn't to be. It was actually Ronaldo calling out Eric Ten Hag that he doesn't respect him. But what surprised me was, which is like, I mean, I could sit in and say, I don't like somebody. Fine, you don't like somebody. But not to respect your manager, which is the first basic thing a footballer is taught. No matter you're a toddler, you're an 8-year-old, you're a 12-year-old, you go with what your manager says. And beyond that, he actually went on to call Eric Ten Hag a liar, in the sense that whatever he says it for the press. He doesn't mean anything. And he called whatever statements of his like blah, blah, blah. I mean, nahi, wahan se aap nahi वापस आ सकते. That is the end. You've literally pushed yourself out of the door, and we've said that goodbye, shut the door behind him. It's what has he done? What has he
Yeah.
gained out of it apart from the fact
As
that
we
he
keep
actually
repeating. हम repeat
yeah
भी
I mean,
करते रहते हैं. You've done it, fine, but the way you've done it,
exactly, and he kept
especially what you
saying it.
mentioned at the end, and Piers Morgan.
And he kept saying it. And Piers Morgan, I mean, look, for anybody who's listening to us right now or might watch this video later, would and is doing any kind of a sensible course in media or communication would know that
Watch
you
this
don't
video.
ask questions the way the Piers Morgan was asking. You don't. You like just putting the gun on the guy's head and say, "भैया मुझे जिस तरह के जवाब चाहिए, तुम उसी तरह के जवाब दो," because to make it sensational. So you don't ask those questions. But maybe they had pre-planned it, that this is where we're going to go after it, because I just want to get out of here. I cannot see myself playing in the Europa post the World Cup. I need to find something for myself. Wherever he goes, he goes. But sorry, I mean, then that is just scratching the surface, that you call the fact that you don't like your manager because your manager doesn't like you. But then you actually went on to call him a liar. Now that's like disgraceful, yaar. What has Eric Ten Hag done to be called a liar? Then you're like saying, ki, bhai, what happens behind the scenes, nobody knows. I mean, of course, nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to enter your dressing room and see which chaddi are you wearing, man. Sorry for the language. But I mean, it's like stupidity, yaar. क्या बोल क्या रहा भाई तू? ठीक है, like I said, I'm a Ronaldo fan. But I'm not a Ronaldo fan the moment he steps out of Manchester United, which he definitely has now. Because for me, the club is bigger. And I would support Eric Ten Hag in tomorrow if he comes on and says, that's it, we have terminated the contract by mutual consent or whatever. Roy Keane, the best captain that we have ever had, was told to walk out for something far lesser, for something nobody saw what he actually said. That interview never came out. And still he was booted out by Sir Alex Ferguson. David Beckham's lifestyle became far more bigger than his football, apparently, according to Sir Alex. He was out. And just one game, Ruud van Nistelrooy threw a tantrum of not being picked in the FA Cup final, and he walked out of Old Trafford. He was gone. So, I mean, there have been people who have been legends of United who have been thrown out of the club for far lesser. What do you think you're going to survive this with? Nothing, because your mindset was hung up over leaving United this World Cup window, because you realized that by the time the Premier League starts again, it'll be about 5 to 6 weeks. सब थोड़ा ठंडा हो जाएगा, शांत हो जाएंगे. It'll give time for the fans to move on. It'll give time for the club to move on. And I will also find something else. But nahi yaar. I mean, if you recall the first video we did about 3 days ago, I was totally against the fact that how can you speak against a manager? But now to add to that, you've called my manager a liar. Nahi yaar. Nahi, sorry. I mean, I have visibly seen a better brand of football this first 14 games than I saw in the entire last 2.5 years. Right? So I can't sit here and say that Eric Ten Hag is not making an effort, despite having a shit board with him. So, no, yeah, it's It's inexcusable. You cannot do that to a manager. No. And I'll again go back to what I said when I interrupted in between, that I think that the brand of football Eric Ten Hag and Ralph Rangnick play does not suit Ronaldo, especially at his age. He just doesn't want to cope or change accordingly, and that's why he's just throwing tantrums. कि भैया इससे पहले दुनिया मुझे brand कर दे, I'm good for nothing anymore. Let me just say these guys are good for nothing and move. He just played that card. Simple.
I mean, if you take this from from an analogy from history studies, this is Ronaldo's version of the scorched earth policy that he went ahead with the mindset of going for the interview. He's burned bridges. He's left a wake of disruption and unrest in the side. He's gone. Basically all he's done in this interview is blame everyone but himself. So this is a man who's slowly and gradually becoming a relic in this modern world of football. Like you've rightly said, Mojo sir, that the styles of Rangnick and Eric Ten Hag is certainly not Ronaldo's cup of tea at the moment, which only gives us the impression that Ronaldo slowly and steadily is becoming a relic, whereas Messi, on the other hand, don't get me wrong, I'm one of those rare neutrals in this Ronaldo versus Messi debate. Although I do not want Messi to win the World Cup. Sure, that's my personal opinion.
Neither will win. Neither
Yeah.
of them will win.
Yeah,
It's the
I
shirt
mean,
that you're wearing.
exactly.
The
Yeah,
shirt that you're wearing.
yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting you say this because I support England. So yeah, we'll just put that to the side as well. But then, I have no interest. But Messi over the years has shown that willingness to adapt and evolve over the times, which is why you do not see Messi out of sync. You do not. But Ronaldo, because of his sheer, you can call it the God complex, or you can call it where he feels that he is superior than the rest. This is the reason why he's a relic in today's football world. In the footballing landscape of today, Ronaldo is nothing. Ronaldo is facing the real possibility, the real danger of becoming a mere footnote in the game that he has dominated and defined for so long.
I think we are I would say a couple of years away from actually making that sort of a statement. But in just to support Ronaldo in any which way, he just needs to take a step back, calm his head down, and figure out that if you are a world class footballer, as you are, let's face it, I mean, the statistics are there to prove it. You need to evolve your game, albeit for a year, albeit for 2 years. You need to figure out that fine, you might not get those 60, 70 goals, but then you might get those 20, 25 goals, 10, 15 assists, but you need to become an all-round team player. You cannot just be the person who everybody keeps passing to and you just keep scoring. It doesn't happen this way. I mean, there have been questions which have been raised in the Portugal team as well. Portugal today has a brilliant forward line, and people are
Oh my
now beginning
word!
to question
Yes,
that Ronaldo is
absolutely.
holding them back because Ronaldo wants to be that center striker or the center forward, which is holding the next generation of Portuguese strikers. And then he goes on to say that he sees himself play for another 2 to 3 years. Now, he needs to become that person that he was when they won the Euro. Be that senior mentor kind of figure when you were injured, standing on the sideline, trying to galvanize the team, trying to tell people where to go, where to run, where to come, fall back upon. Fine, you've had your time. You've had your time under the sun. You are the legend. The goals are not going to be taken away from you. Stop being that focal point everywhere, which makes other people ineffective. That is what I'm trying to get at.
I think what Ronaldo is facing is a battle between his body and his mind.
Yeah.
So it's like in his with his body, he knows he can do a lot. He thinks his mind is there in his like 20s and all that, but we don't know when our minds kind of tired, because we kind of, if we are doing something very passionately, we tend to forget that it is pressurizing me. I worked for 6 years in the job I love, and at the end of 6 years I realized, man, I kind of tired myself down a lot. I gained a lot of weight. I kind of, these little things which I sacrificed because I was working in the job of my dreams. It's somewhere similar to kind of where he's at, in terms of he's mentally a bit tired, but he's physically feeling fine, and there's a disconnect between the both.
Not
He
not
can't.
forgetting not forgetting the tragedies that he's faced as well. That can also have a bearing on an already exhausted mind.
Exactly. Imagine your mind kind of telling you that okay, yeah, you're still the greatest. There's a continuous battle going on. I sympathize with him for it because he's seen the highs that any footballer could see, and now he's at a stage where his body is working perfectly. He can do whatever he wants with his body, but his mind is kind of telling him what's happening. It's just that it's the neurons.
Interesting that we come to that part. I think I'll put my next question to you, Mudit bhai. So, I think last time we spoke about, I think I'd put this question to Mojo sir, where we spoke about whether Sir Alex Ferguson would intervene, and if he does intervene, what would his stance be? We spoke about the quote what Ferguson himself said: stand with the new manager." So, with respect to that, Ronaldo has gone on record and said that Sir Alex Ferguson understands what I'm going through, and he's always been by my side. Now he's brought Sir Alex into the picture. We know the relation and the dynamic that both of them share. What do you make of this revelation, if at all it is true?
I don't think. I think he's bringing it out of context. First of all, it's simple. He would have just mentioned to Sir Alex, boss, it's not going too well. That's about it. And Sir Alex might have said, hang in there, given his age-old advice, his experienced advice, and might have just told him to kind of just hang in there, man, and just see how it goes. I cannot imagine Sir Alex, like, he might be speaking his heart out to him, but I don't think he would have got the response that he expected out of him, except the fact that it's okay, I understand. That's my version of it, because then he would take it as an approval and bring it up in the interview. Otherwise, he would give more details as to what he said. Yeah, as a father figure, you would just say, it's okay, child, move on, man. It's okay. You've been through worse in your life personally and in your career. This is a phase. Face it and move ahead. And that has been also kind of meddled with in what he's trying to say.
Yeah, fair enough. So, Vaibhav, we are now coming to the closing stages of this interview. I mean, as far as the interview is concerned.
मोदी सर को भगा दिया क्या वहां जहाँ बैठे थे? इसको डिस्टर्ब कर रहे थे आप? म्यूट पे हो?
No, I was actually sitting downstairs. I had to come up and pack because I got a flight at 7 tomorrow morning.
अच्छा.
So, Vaibhav, let's come to the final parts of this. I mean, now, like Mudit sir said, that Ronaldo is going through a battle of the mind and the body. But in the interview, I think at this point in time, even Ronaldo understands that his body is slowly and steadily giving way. I mean, Father Time wins against everyone, no matter who you are. Case in point being two of the most durable superstars of our generation in different sports. One, Cristiano Ronaldo in football, and his equal parallel is LeBron James in basketball. Both of them over the years have defined the very parallels of this sport. One of the major reasons being both of them were arguably the most fittest athletes of this generation. I mean, both of them have barely had any major injuries throughout their career. But now you can see Father Time finally winning the battle between these two, with these two of them. Let's take Ronaldo into perspective. Ronaldo has openly admitted in the interview that he cannot think that he is the same that he was when he was 20 years old. He knows that he also, in spite of being so great, has his limitations. He knows that he's not the same player he was even 3 or 4 years ago. Not even when 18 years ago when he was 20, but just 4 years ago. He knows he's not the same player. And over the years, he has managed to adapt. He has managed to, utilize his strengths in a way that, enhances his productivity and his longevity in the career as well. However, now, We are slowly seeing that even Ronaldo is making peace with the fact that he does not have much time at the top left, and he wants to maximize whatever time he has. So in the interview, he said that he would want to play until 40. Now he turns 38 next February. That realistically gives him two more seasons at the top of the European landscape, and maybe one last major tournament, the 2024 Euros. If we are taking Ronaldo's words to be the absolute truth, and if he wants to play till that time, injuries notwithstanding. So, what do you make of Ronaldo's admissions of, you know, with his body not being the way it is, and that he wants to play until 40? He also mentioned that if at all Portugal win this World Cup, he retires. He retires. No questions asked, nothing said. The moment Portugal wins this World Cup, he's out of there. What do you make of these statements, and what do you think is a realistical timeline that Cristiano will play at the highest stage? If yes, will it be in Europe? That's the pressing question.
Very tough question, Dylan. I think, look, with somebody like a Cristiano Ronaldo, you just cannot apply normal logistics here, right? The guy has worked out on himself like a god, basically. The his eating habits to how he trains himself to his habits outside football. I mean, the guy is the guy is just an inspiration, for any footballer out there, for any youngster out there. But again, yes, look, time and tide waits for none. Time is like that sand, and if you try to catch the time, if you try to,
Goes
get the
faster.
time, it goes faster, right? It's like the sand in your hand. So I mean, look, it's no surprise, right? The day is gonna come. Messi in his recent interview admitted, his playing days may be over very soon. Ronaldo has admitted it, and look, see, I I mean it's very hard to get into the player's mindset, what he's thinking. If he's thinking he wants to be that striker, he wants to be that meal fulcrum of the team, he wants to be the main star of the team. I don't think he I don't think a top European club, or the clubs like Bayern, or maybe a Real Madrid, or PSG for that matter, would be looking into that. I mean, would be looking to invest in Ronaldo, because again, harsh fact, time is not on his side. There needs to be a lot of adjustments made, and we clearly know, big teams, teams who are winning these days, winning the club, winning the titles, and winning the Champions League. They play as a team. It's not just a one man show. Gone are the days where you had the Ronaldinho magic, gone, where you had the Ronaldinho magic, and where you had a magical moment of Messi. You cannot win like that. So look, if Ronaldo wants to play at the highest level till till the age of 40 in Europe, I think he has to do what Ryan Giggs did with his career. He needs to shuffle himself. He needs to take the Paul Scholes path. He needs to take the Ryan Giggs way, right? May not be as fashionable. Yes, I admit in the later stages of his career, Giggs was like, we may not be talking about Ryan Giggs in the context of what, Van Persie did, or, what the likes of Rooney were doing, right? But still, he bloody won a Premier League title, right? So here, what what is your goal, right? Do you want that individual glory? Do you want to bag in more goals, or do you want to bag in more trophies? That's where you need to take a choice, right? Because you cannot have everything and anything at this stage of the career, right? You know, Somebody like a Haaland has that liberty, right? He can, just say, what, I fancy Real Madrid, I fancy La Liga, I fancy Serie A. Somebody like a Ronaldo, he just cannot. Same can be said for Messi. It's harsh, it's true. I mean, I don't know. As good as Messi is, I don't think a Man City or even a Liverpool, or let's say a Napoli, would go for him right now, because of the sheer fact that you do not have time for them. The time is running out. And look, Ronaldo, whatever he does from now onwards, if he stops playing football today, from today onwards, completely stops, he needs to understand, it's not just, I just feel from what I could make out in the Ronaldo interview was he just felt that, the world is against him. He had this feeling that, everybody's against me, the world is against me, everything is going away. You do feel that way, right? When things are not going your way, personal wise, when you have those tragic losses, your personal life is not doing well, anything and everything you do, you just feel like, you know what, everything is going away. All the happiness is going away. You know, you just feel like one of those Death Eaters, you know, in the Harry Potter series. It just feels like that. So look, somebody needs to tell Ronaldo, maybe it's Alex or, you know, anyone, you know what, son, sit down. All those people in the commentary panel, you know, Jermaine Genius, Alan Shearer, blah, 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 whatever. You know, if today you hang up your boots and at this moment, they're not even going to achieve half of what you've achieved. You know, so let that sink in. You know, you're not fighting against a Messi or any other next prodigy. You know, you should not be fighting against Messi or, you know, the next upcoming Mbappe's or Haaland's. You know, your fight is with your own. Your fight is with yourself, right? So you need to take that in, right? As an athlete, he would always have his fans. You know, he talked about his Instagram followers and everything. Yes, Ronaldo is a very charismatic footballer and a very charismatic person. He's got that enigma in him, which many talented footballers, you know, maybe footballers more talented than him would not have, right? So look, Ronaldo, I mean, he's done everything
Ap-
which is there to be done. Yes, Mojo sir.
appetite fruit as well, the way you put it. Ugh.
Yeah, appetite. Yeah. Look, I think at this point you may say, you know what, he should retire, you know what, this and thing. I've always believed, you know, let it be with the players. You know, it's always, you know, it's always there with the big players, right? The Tendulkars or, you know, the Ronaldos of this world. You just, you know, they don't want to leave the field. We don't want them to leave the field necessarily, but we as fans do see that end coming near, right? You know that he does not have much time left. So I just don't know what's in Ronaldo's mind or what's his plan. You know, whatever his plan is, I just wish him all the best. As I said, whether he goes to Saudi or whether he goes to MLS or whether, you know, he maybe he goes to what, a Roma under Jose Mourinho, that would be interesting. You know, you never know. Or maybe he could, you know, just go back and try La Liga. I don't think he would go there, but, you know, you just never know. So yeah, I think with CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo, he's earned that right not to be written off. You know, you just never know with the guy. You know, maybe maybe he just, you know, finds a club, bangs in those goals, and, you know, maybe we see that, you know what, hey, he's not finished. So yeah, with Ronaldo, I can, you know, as a fan, I can never ever say, you know, he's off, he's written off. I mean, I do not think he's good enough. You know, till the day he tells officially that, you know what, I'm hanging the boots, it's over, it's done. I don't think I can ever write him off with what he's done and achieved.
All right. Beautifully put, aptly said. I think you echo the sentiments of a thousands and millions and millions of fans across the globe. He's earned the right to, you know, announce. He earned the right to make the decision about his future himself, and I think we all know that he will, at the end of the day, make the decision right as and when he feels it is the correct time. So before we wrap up, I just want to know, uh, with all this said and done, and with the World Cup coming in, uh, how far will Portugal go in this World Cup, and how and will Ronaldo win the Golden Boot this World Cup? Just these two questions. Short answers, and then we just wind up. Mojo sir, I'll start with you. How far Portugal goes, and is Ronaldo going to take the Golden Boot?
Look, I mean, Portugal is the same as England, aren't they? They have a decent squad, but they have crap managers. So,
But no crybabies in the side. So yeah, that's a
look,
difference.
I mean, you find Portugal might have a crybaby in Ronaldo, but then you have a fucking fridge in England. So, I mean, they balance themselves out. But what I'm trying to get to, I think Portugal should get to about quarterfinals if I look at it that way. Ronaldo getting a golden boot, I don't think so. But then there's a lot that needs to go right with this Portugal team right now for them to make it any further than quarterfinals. But then who's to know? I mean, we didn't expect them to win the Euros that they did about 4 or 5 years ago. So that was a surprise. So yeah, according to me, as of now, Ronaldo doesn't get the golden boot. Portugal don't go beyond the quarters at max, the way I see it. But if they start clicking, then they'll be a tough team to stop. But I mean, for the umpteenth time, I think I said it 5 or 6 times in the last video.
Don't want
I
Messi to
just hope,
win it.
I just hope he doesn't. I just don't, I hope Messi is nowhere near it. I just hope Argentina just crash out of the World Cup at the group stage. I just couldn't care. It could be anybody, but not Messi. I mean, imagine if we guys sitting here as Ronaldo fans are like crying foul, ki kya badtameezi kari hai, what as you said, they, where, whatever, we are bloody falling about. Imagine if Messi wins the World Cup. Messi wale to pagal ho jayenge. Matlab, they'll be like, I don't know what will be going on. The world would go crazy. Twitter तो वैसे ही crash कर चुका है आधा तो thanks to Elon Musk. But I mean, नहीं यार, Messi with the World Cup just doesn't sit right, you know. Nah.
Mudit bhai, what about you? How far do Portugal go, and does Ronaldo win the Golden Boot?
They'll barely scrape through the group stage, reach the round of 16, and get knocked out. Ronaldo will score 3 goals. Weber, I'm sorry. And Messi too will go out at the round of 16.
All right. Weber, what about you?
Ronaldo Golden Boot, Portugal winning. JK guys, don't get don't get
I mean,
mad.
you are now Weber. You've just become Piers Morgan. You know, imagine it's a World Cup final.
My
Portugal are winning
word.
2-0.
That's abuse.
Messi
That's
scores 2
abuse.
goals. It
Mojo sir,
becomes
that's
2-all,
abuse.
and in the
Nahin,
injury
nahin,
time,
nahin,
you
no.
score the winner 3-2. Matlab,
Don't
At
call
least
him,
I,
call him
at least I
anything.
wouldn't be. At least I wouldn't have the headache of deleting my tweets, because Twitter won't be there by that time.
yeah, probably yes, yeah.
But in all seriousness, I think Portugal will reach the quarterfinals. I can see Ronaldo scoring 3 goals and reaching that double digit hashtag another milestone ticket.
कौन सा
Okay,
double digit?
so
I
अच्छा,
mean, he's
World
got
Cup
7
goals.
World Cup goals till now,
World
so
Cup
Okay,
he's
goals.
the first player to score in double digits in the World Cups.
okay. Who's
double
the highest
digits
score in
in.
the World Cups though? I don't know.
That's Miroslav Klose. It's Klose with
How many has he
16.
scored?
Yeah,
16.
but Ronaldo is chasing that record, I guess.
So is
I'm not
Muller.
getting that.
So is Muller.
Oh no, he's not. I think he's not. He's way
Muller,
below.
Muller has 10 goals. It's not that much. Muller has 10 goals. He scored 5 in 10 and 5 in 2014.
Ronaldo has 7.
Honestly, he only appears in World Cup, so
And he always turns up in World Cups.
Yeah,
There's
he's like the closer of modern day. So yeah.
for Germany, yes. Germany. So, guys, so ladies and gentlemen, we've just gone ahead and dissected the entire interview. We've had once again we've had people speaking from their heart. We've had everyone laying out their thoughts. What do they feel about this situation? What do they make about this situation? Uh, and overall, this was a brilliant cacophony of thoughts, of emotions, and of people calling spades a spades. So I personally have been glad to be part of this discussion, and a special thank you to Mudit Bhai, to Weber, to Mojo sir, and even to Abhishar Bhai, who was earlier part of this stream, for having put out their thoughts in such a beautiful manner, and uh, making sure that this stream was amazing. And I have certainly enjoyed being a host on this and this discussion in particular. Special thanks to all the people on the chat as well, who were constantly in with their insights, with their comments. It was amazing to see so many people interact as well. And please show excuse me, please show us the love. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. With the World Cup coming out, we will be starting with our exclusive World Cup coverage starting tomorrow, and this will go on for the next month or so. We will always be regular. We will be putting out content like this every single day for the next 1 month to celebrate the festival that is the World Cup. It does not come every year, and we will approach it with the same fervor and the same enthusiasm that we have been always doing it. And do follow us on Instagram, on Twitter as well. The Instagram username is there at the screen on the bottom. You can go ahead and show us your love there as well. And again, I say this in every stream, and I'll say this in this stream as well. Every day is match day on our official WhatsApp group, and from tomorrow onwards, it will be quite literally with the World Cup coming in. So you absolutely do not want to miss that. Please do go ahead and join us on WhatsApp as well. We also have our website, which is fully operational right now. So go ahead and check that out. There are a wide range of contests, a wide range of predictions that you can be part of, and you can go ahead and check that out as well. So please go ahead and do give us the love, do give us the support. This content is for you and will always be there for you. So, with that being said, this is your host Delvin, along with Mudit Bhai, Vaibhav, and Mojo sir, bidding goodbye. Hope you take care of yourselves. Hope you have a lovely day tomorrow. And goodbye and GGMU to all. And as far as Ronaldo is concerned, see you never. And that's goodbye.
Wow.
So
Wow.